Hello everyone, welcome back. I recently been trying my hand at other games. I've been playing Modern Warfare 2. COD was a game that I used to really enjoy back in the day. It's not so much anymore. And whilst I've been trying out other games, it kind of reinforced something about the Division 2 that I kind of already knew. And that is the world and the gameplay is so good. And there is no other game that's been able to match that for me. Yes, this is going to be a very positive video and it feels good to be making this one. So drop a like, subscribe, and let's talk about how good the Division 2 is. In my last video I talked about seasons and why I'm not sure they are working anymore for the Division 2. My opinion on that has not changed. The game has many technical problems, a lot of which have become worse since TU 16.2. And you know, I could spend hours making negative videos on this game. I've done that in recent videos, I've done it in the past, but this game has the best gameplay, the best open world of any game that I've ever played, and I suspect there ain't going to be many games coming up that are going to fulfill that for me either. I recently, as I said, bought Modern Warfare 2 because I've not played a COD game for many years and I wanted an FPS to play. It's pretty bad, and it reinforces why I stopped playing COD, to be honest. Modern Warfare 2 has modes that have enemy AI. Now, before release, Treyarch were talking about the intelligence of this new AI, how they jump behind walls and all of this technical stuff. I'm telling you, if you've never played the Division 2, you might think the AI in Modern Warfare 2 is half decent, but it's not even close to what has been achieved with the Division 2. And I know Modern Warfare 2 is predominantly a PvP game, but Treyarch are trying their best to satisfy all audiences. And with 3,000 people working on that game, you'd expect really good AI, or at least comparable to the Division 2. But nope, the AI in the Division 2 has to be market leading. Now, yeah, sure, we could talk about the constant nade spam, the drone spam issues that we've had, 100% accuracy from NPCs and whatnot, but there's no arguing that the intelligence of the AI in this game is amazing. And again, I've played no other game that even comes close to the AI in this game. I remember when Massive put out a couple of videos showing how they made the AI, how different factions behave differently and all that sort of stuff, and the technicality that goes into that is just groundbreaking. Again, let me know in the comments down below, guys, if you've played any other games that are comparable. But I've seen no games and I've played no games which come even close to what the Division 2 has achieved here. Now, on the same vein, the open world of the Division 2 is unmatched by any other game that I've played or seen. I recently played the beta of the first Descendant, a new looter shooter game. You've probably seen some kind of footage. There was quite a lot of footage that came out maybe a week or two ago from many content creators talking about the game. You know, I saw reviews from players saying the open world, you know, it looked good, and I'm not firing shots here, but have you played the Division 2? The open world in the first Descendant is not even close to what we have in this game. And let's not forget, the open world is populated as well. You can go no more than 400 meters without coming across AI patrolling or hitting some kind of activity. There are very few games where you get a really beautiful, detailed open world that's also populated and you can transition through that open world without hiccup. Take Outriders, for example. Some of the set pieces used there are really cool, but you cannot traverse the whole map without hitting a loading screen, as each encounter is instance based. The same happened with Anthem, where you could reach a certain part of the world and then you'd hit a loading screen. The map in the Division 2 is massive. We have 2 of them, and at no point do you need to hit a loading screen. It sounds like any game with any open world should be able to achieve, but it just doesn't happen in many other games. The Division 2 open world is my favourite open world of any game ever, and you know, that's got some stiff competition. Destiny has a really good open world. You know, some might argue better than the Division 2. I would argue against that. Skyrim, you know, had a really beautiful open world, but it wasn't that populated. And there are many other games that have nice open worlds, but for me, they just don't compare to what the Division 2 have been able to achieve. The other thing that's just top tier in this game is the actual gameplay. The way our character feels, the builds, the loot, and everything that's in between. Again, aside from Destiny, which is considered the pinnacle in kind of gunplay or gameplay for a looter game, no other game comes close to the Division 2 when it comes to gameplay for me. For me, everything just feels so smooth. And yeah, sure that you're going to get bugs and as there is with any other game, but I personally come across very few. So most of the time, deploying skills, taking cover, and all that stuff kind of feels buttery smooth. And speaking of taking cover, no other game does cover like the Division 2 does. Now, I do play on Xbox Series X, and I know PC has suffered and still suffers with performance issues. So of course, this comes from my own personal experience. And that's not to diminish the ongoing problems. And, I've addressed them in numerous videos. Just go back and look through my library. But when the game is running properly, it is top tier. Funny thing is, when the Division 2 came out, I wasn't all that happy with the movement in the game because it felt so different to the Division. Now, if I was to go back and play the Division, which I've done recently, you can really see and feel the improvement they've achieved with the Division 2. And like I said, apart from Destiny, no other game achieves the smoothness and the way the game feels in the open world, the way that we interact with characters, the way the characters feel in our hands like the Division 2 has. Now, this wouldn't be a positive video about the Division 2 if I didn't talk about builds and loot in this game. When it comes to builds, I don't know any other looter shooter game that I've played which can compete here with the variety offered, and that includes Destiny. The fact that players and content creators after 4 years can still make weekly build videos which are different and can change up your playstyle goes to show the depth of build crafting in this game. Of course, there are meta builds, there are meta weapons and gear, as there is with any other looter shooter game. And that's not a bad thing, to be honest, so long as the meta isn't light years ahead of anything else. But there are thousands, there are hundreds of thousands of builds to be made here, with each one being viable in the game somewhere. Even a studio like Bungie have struggled to balance builds in Destiny 2, with many weapons and gear pieces being disabled on a weekly or monthly basis due to them being broken. Telesto, for example, is a weapon that's been in the game since day one, and that always seems to break the game. They've never been able to quite fix that one. We've got here in the Division 2, we've got the shrapnel trap, which is obviously a problem at the moment. There are some stuff in the game that's a problem. I'm not going to say there aren't, because there are issues in the game. But, Massive, they're a small team. They're a new team built for the new content. And when you compare it to other studios, they are absolutely tiny. If you compare them to, say, the team working on Destiny 2, there's no comparison. The Division 2 team, Massive team, are tiny in comparison. And I draw the comparison to Destiny 2 because, as I said, it's considered top of the pile for looter shooters, and it's actually really hard to argue against that, because I would probably agree it is top of the pile. But the Division 2 does a lot that Destiny 2 does not. And so, yeah, for me, when it comes to builds and loot and all that sort of stuff, yeah, this game is unmatched when it comes to that. There are no other games that I've played that can match this game in terms of variety. So I'm making this video because I really just wanted to praise Massive and the Division 2 for some of the best gameplay and open world in any looter shooter game that I've ever played. I've made untold videos about things Massive need to fix or things that I don't like, but I can't deny this game has a hold on me, a hold over me like no other game has been able to do. I simply have not been able to find another game quite like it, and as pointed out in this video, that's probably because this game in all the right areas, when it comes to gameplay, when it comes to builds, when it comes to the open world, in those really important areas, it really is kind of top tier. It's almost I would say it's on a level with Destiny. In fact, for me personally, I've gone back to play Destiny recently, and I always go back to play Destiny because it's one of those games that whenever a DLC comes out, I jump on it and play the DLC, and I really like that game, and it's a great game, there's no doubt about that. But it doesn't quite do it as much for me as the Division 2 does. I feel like the Division 2 is deeper than that game, although Destiny 2 does other stuff way better than the Division 2 does. But my point being that it is top tier. There's no doubt about that, and that's probably why it has a hold over me, because I go to play other games like Modern Warfare 2, which obviously isn't in the same bracket, but say for example the First Descendant, which I played in beta, not even close not even close to what the Division 2 or Destiny has been able to achieve, and it never will be able to achieve that. Games like Anthem, of course, came out and were really, really bad. Outriders, for example, another looter shooter game, not even close to the Division 2 or Destiny. You know, these are big games that have not come close to these two games. And so when I play other games and, I just always got in the back of my mind, okay, but this isn't as good as the Division 2. That's always what I'm getting when I'm playing a lot of these other games. And that's why I always come back. There you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. And until the next one, epic out.